Hello and welcome back to the iGP Manager AOR League. Today we're in Singapore for the seasonal night race and one of the best looking circuits to race at, in my opinion. My name is Justin Sutton and I'll be your only commentator for this evening, but I'm very much looking forward to that. Unfortunately, we don't have Chris Buxton or Alex Gillen with us tonight. However, I believe Alex will be back with us next week for the Japanese round of the season. That will be for round 15, but here we are in Singapore for round 14. Let's remind ourselves what's going on in this season. It is Peter Mann that has started to really break away recently with the championship, sitting on 237 points to Nicolas Navarro, aka Cesar Navarro's 176 points. There's now a 16-point gap between Navarro and Morales, the two top Argentinian managers in the league so far. Then we've got the two Spaniards, Carrasco and Cabanes, pretty much where they've been the entire season, in 4th and 5th position. Very reliable points scorers, those two Spanish managers. So that is how things are looking. We do have the new French manager, Richard Joffre, just in case if you guys missed last week's stream, which we had some problems with, some issues with, so I do apologize. I apologized last week, but I'm going to apologize again about that one, and we're looking forward to no problems this week, no streaming issues whatsoever. So that's how the standings are looking heading into today's race. Speaking of today's race, let's go ahead and have a look at the grid. You can see less than 2 minutes until we start racing here in Singapore, and it is Autosport on pole position. Let's give it up for Autosport on pole position. Yes, they are on the set of the Supersofts, one of only 3 teams to go onto the Supersofts for today's race, the others being Cesar Navarro and Nicolas Presi. So that's how things are looking on the grid. The soft runners, the pole soft runner was Franco Insaurralde. He'll start from 2nd position. Nicolas Morales in 4th, and our championship leader, Peter Mann, sitting in 6th position, 3rd row of the grid, and the 3rd starter on the soft tires. We have a few people on mediums as well, the likes of Daniel Thomas, Simone Fazzolari, and Nicolas Carrasco. Again, Carrasco very often in the points, so that he could be one to watch for sure. Daniel Thomas as well, one of the regular point scorers, so definitely going to be keeping an eye on those guys to see how their progress goes. Valentin Cordier, I have to say, surprised the last of the soft runners, way down in 13th position. It's been a heck of a season for Valentin Cordier after coming in partway through the season, very similar to Richard Joffre as well, who starts this race from 11th position. So the French managers in 10th, 11th, and 13th. And yeah, that is how things are looking for today's race. We're preparing to go racing, just about 40 seconds now until we go lights out in Singapore for the 14th round out of 17 for the Apex Online Racing iGP Manager League. And I do believe, actually, that Peter Mann could potentially be crowned champion here today, but I believe it would require pretty poor performances from Cesar Navarro and Nicolas Morales, and with those guys starting on the 2nd row of the grid, that is not something that I am going to be expecting. But one thing we are going to be looking at and very curious to see is how Autosport handles the pressure of pole position as we prepare to go racing here in Singapore. We've got 5 lights and they're out and we're away and racing, and it looks like a good start actually for Autosport. We've already got some changes of position. Nicolas Presi gaining a spot on Nicolas Morales, moving himself ahead of the soft runner up into 4th position. Peter Mann as well moving ahead of Nicolas Morales, as did Felix Cabanes. Cabanes making up several positions, as did Joffre, who started from outside the top 10, already moving himself up into 7th position now after an overtake on Nicolas Morales, who's had a bit of a shocking start. Valentin Cordier also, who started down in 13th position, getting a great start already into the top 10 and ahead of Jose Luis Navarro, who seems to be going backwards in this race. Let's look a little bit further up the grid now that we've had a look and see what is going on throughout the field. And it is indeed the 3 super soft runners that are breaking away. Felix Cabanes now making an overtake on Peter Mann. He puts himself up into 5th position, the 2nd of the soft runners, as we're coming to the end of this first lap out of 30 already rather quickly. So into Sector 3 we go. And still looking fairly tight. The biggest gap at the moment probably between Daniel Thomas and Simone Fazzolari down at the back there. Fazzolari and Carrasco possibly not in attendance for today's race. That's certainly a possibility. We're having a look now, though, at Felix Cabanes and Franco Insaurralde. It is Argentina versus Spain for 4th position and the leading soft tire runners as well. And they've got Peter Mann right alongside them as well. Jake Thompson, who scored his first points last time out at Italy, also picking up a position on Jose Luis Navarro. He drops down one more position. He's got Chandler Saita right there with him, as well as Nicholas Coleman, so he could be coming under threat from those guys. Oh, very, very close between them. Coleman comes out on top and makes the move on Chandler Saita up into 12th position. He'll be focusing on Jose Luis Navarro coming up next. Smallest gaps at the moment are actually between Peter Manning and Felix Cabanes, and between Nicolas Morales and Valentin Cordier. Cordier making the move on Morales. So Morales here potentially on a heavy fuel strategy is, I think, what we might be seeing here from the yellow team. Really losing a number of positions after starting in the top 6, dropping down all the way into 9th position as we come to the end of the second lap. It is still Autosport that leads the way with Cesar Navarro not that far behind. Nicholas Pressey in hot pursuit as well. All of those guys within DRS range. Franco Inceralde as well within DRS range, actually. And there is the message, actually, confirmation. Lap 3 has started. DRS is now permitted. So we will start DRS activation on all of these guys. Oh, Peter Mann using a bit of boost right away, because, of course, boost getting activated at the start of lap 3 as well. Franco Inceralde deploying some boost as well, trying to pick up the DRS off the top 3 on the Super Softs. He's done exactly that. And Peter Mann, again, ahead of Felix Cabanes, doesn't pick up the DRS. Cabanes does pick up the DRS, as does Joffrey as well. Cordier, Morales, all of those guys picking up the DRS a little bit further down. So that's how things are looking after we get out of the DRS zone. And Inceralde, as you can see, has used a little bit of boost, maybe about 20%, 15%, roundabout there. But he has kept up to the back of the Supersoft runners. I don't know how long they're going to be going into this race. I wouldn't imagine that's going to be much longer than 6 or 7 laps at the absolute most for those super soft tires, and the softs, of course, will start to become the faster tire as the race progresses and as the super softs start to wear down. Cesar Navarro, I completely missed that, made the overtake on Autosport. That was probably with the benefit of DRS. Has he used any boost? Nope, no boost usage yet for Cesar Navarro, one of our championship contenders. So he takes the lead of the race on lap 3 as we start lap 4 now, and it looks like Autosport's not going to be within DRS range of Cesar Navarro, so they're going to be coming under attack from Nicholas Pressey, the third of the 3 super soft runners. There's the DRS activation for the American. He's got, again, Franco Inceralde right behind on those soft compound tires as well. Peter Mann does pick up the DRS, interestingly enough, off of Franco Inceralde, so no changes of position in the top 5, but it is very close. Speaking of close, it's actually very, very close between Joffrey and Cordier for P7. These are the 2 newest members of our league, and here they are battling it out for 7th position. So going very well for these guys, especially considering that they both started outside of the top 10. So this race going very, very well for them. And just looking a little bit further back at Fazzolari and Carrasco, it does appear to me that they are not in attendance for today's race, so we'll go ahead and ignore them. Daniel Thomas, however, does seem to be in attendance for today's race. He's on that set of mediums, keeping up with the back of this train of soft runners. And let's see if we're going to see anybody dive into the pits at the end of lap 4. It would be rather early, but no, it doesn't look like any of the super soft runners are coming in. And they indeed would be the only ones that we would expect to come in at the end of lap 4, as early as lap 4. Potentially, we might see somebody come in as early as lap 5 now. A bit of boost usage for Nicholas Pressey. He wants to get a move on and make that overtake on Autosport, feeling like he's got that extra pace as they make their way through that right-handed kink. The DRS not quite enough to pick up the DRS, and it looks like Peter Mann as well not quite able to make the move, as Nicholas Morales, now making up some positions, finally moves himself ahead of both Cordier and Joffrey. So after dropping down into 9th position, Nicholas Morales now making the moves up into 7th. He's used quite a bit of boost, I'm not going to lie, but Peter Mann now really getting close to the back of the super soft runners after overhauling Franco Inceralde for that 4th place position. And again, we're coming to the end of another lap, at the end of lap 5 here. Will we see any of these super soft runners come in? If we do, I think it's fairly certain that they're going to be fitting a different tire compound. They're not going to be going on to another set of super softs. It is rather warm out there for today's race. It is 29 degrees Celsius and no drivers into the pits at the end of lap 5. So again, I was predicting around lap 6 or 7 thereabouts for the super soft runners. I'd be very surprised to see them going 8 laps. So yeah, not so sure how that's going to go. But Nicholas Pressey now with another overtake attempt on Autosport. Cesar Navarro really starting to break away with now a 3.6 second gap. Pressey not quite able to make the overtake into the left-hander at the end of the DRS zone, and he's going to use some boost, but so is Peter Mann. They're both going to make the overtake on Autosport, and they're actually side by side into the left-hander, into that chicane. Peter Mann does come out on top. He's now the leading soft runner into second position, a 141.66 last lap, that is with a little bit of boost usage, and he has drained even more of that, down to about 50% boost usage. No boost used just yet for Cesar Navarro, so he is looking very good on the boost usage. Nicholas Pressey has used even more boost than Peter Mann has. Autosport still holding on in the top 4. They've got Felix Cabanes just behind, and we do have our first car into the pits, and it is going to be the championship contender Cesar Navarro who comes in, and he's going to get rid of that set of super soft tires. Let's stick with him and see what kind of tires he's going to go onto into the pits, as Autosport also following him, and it is a set of the soft compound tires for Cesar Navarro and also for Autosport. So both of those teams opting for a set of softs after ditching that set of super softs that they started the race on, and they're going to come out in 13th and 14th position respectively. So a decent sized gap between Cesar Navarro and Autosport, but of course they will gain positions once the rest of the field has been into the pits. Chandler Saita making an overtake now on Jake Thompson, up into what is now 8th position after those 2 pit stops from the front runners. Just looking a little bit further up once again, Peter Mann again has taken the lead of this race after Cesar Navarro, the younger of the 2 Navarro brothers, was into the pits. So he now leads the race with about a 1.9 second gap down to Nicholas Pressey, who is still the only car running on the super soft tires. He's got Felix Cabanes for company, very, very close between the 2 of them, and Franco Inceralde just about within DRS distance, or almost within that DRS distance. Similar sort of gap down to Nicholas Morales as well too. And we do indeed have, that's Pressey now coming into the pits, so he's going to get rid of his set of super softs at the end of lap 7 with 23 laps still to go in this Singapore race, and he has opted for a set of softs. Let's see where he's going to come out compared to Navarro in Autosport. That is Cesar Navarro already making his way by. Are we going to see Autosport make his way past as well the American? No, it's going to be rather close between the 2 of them, but I think Autosport might just be out of DRS range on Nicholas Pressey, which is unfortunate for them. They would have loved to have picked up DRS there if they could have, but no, they are not going to pick up the DRS off of Nicholas Pressey. Indeed, it is about 1.5 seconds, as Nicholas Coleman now making an overtake on Jose Luis Navarro. A bit of boost usage between the 2 of them as they make their way onto that medium length straight after the left-hander in Sector 2. And into the hairpin they go. Will we see any more boost usage from the Frenchman and the Argentinian? Nope. It looks like Jose Luis Navarro is going to hang on to that position for the meantime. Looking a bit further up, once again, Nicholas Morales has now started to close down that gap to Franco Inceralde within 1 second in that DRS range. He doesn't really need to worry about Joffre and Cordier behind him. Neither of those guys is going to be picking up any sort of DRS as we start lap 9 now. And are any of the soft runners going to come into the pits? It is a nice even 30-lap race distance for today's race, which means if you're going to be running a 2-stop strategy and you're going to be running soft, 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 then you'll be coming in at the end of lap 10 and at the end of lap 20. We have seen historically Peter Mann, our championship leader, just go that 1 or 2 extra laps compared to his competitors, particularly in the early stints, though. That is a habit that we have seen, that we've picked up on from our championship leader. So we might see a number of drivers come into the pits at the end of lap 10, might see some people coming in at the end of lap 9 as well. So we could see some drivers in this lap. As now Thomas on those mediums making an overtake. He becomes the latest car to overtake Jose Luis Navarro. A bit of boost usage for the medium shod green car is going to see him up into what is now a points paying position. But of course, when he pits, he will be dropping behind Nicholas Pressey, the likes of Nicholas Pressey and Autosport, because they are less than a pit stop's distance behind Daniel Thomas and probably lapping pretty quickly. In fact, let's look at the lap times from the guys that started on the super soft. So Cesar Navarro has actually caught up to his brother. He's actually caught up to Jose Luis Navarro, but it looks like Jose's going to deploy some boost. He's trying to fight back at Daniel Thomas here for the final points paying position. Cesar, I think, will be glad about that, because I believe he's going to be the quicker out of these guys. He's now deploying a bit of boost as they get into the right-hander before the DRS activation. He does pick up the DRS. His older brother Jose is going to make the move on Daniel Thomas, and he's just about going to overhaul the Swissman for that 10th position. Not much boost remaining for Jose Luis Navarro. Oh, and there we go with the boost usage for Daniel Thomas on the mediums. That's going to see him back up into 10th position. So a good old scrap here going on for the lower points paying positions. Up at the front, Peter Mann continues to extend his gap down to Felix Cabanes. It is now 3.8 seconds between the Brit and the Spaniard. Another 1.8 seconds down to Nicolas Morales, the Argentinian in the yellow car, currently sitting in 3rd position. His compatriot Franco Insaurralde really not that far behind. And are we going to see any of these guys come into the pits? Yes, we do. Felix Cabanes is into the pits at the end of lap 10, so it looks like he's on for a 2-stop, soft, as is Franco Insaurralde potentially. He's into the pits, as is Richard Joffre and Chandler Saita, all of those guys. So four cars into the pits at the end of lap 10, so it looks like they're running the sort of standard 10-10-10 soft strategy in this hot race. Again, it is quite warm out there. Despite what time it is in Singapore, it is still 29 degrees Celsius, so it is very warm out there. Autosport does manage to get Joffre in the pit stop, so Joffre comes out behind Autosport. Autosport's going to have to go long on this set of tires. Let's just remind ourselves of how everybody is looking. Cesar Navarro and Autosport coming in at the end of lap 6, Presi at the end of lap 7, Saita and Insaurralde at the end of lap 9, and Cabanes and Joffre at the end of lap 10. I'm not entirely sure if that's right, actually. I think they all came in at the end of lap 10. But Insaurralde now making the move on Nicolas Presi, and that would have been with boost usage, I would expect, based on the part of the circuit where that happened. So are we going to see any of the front runners come in? Yes, we do. Our championship leader, Peter Mann, is into the pits from the lead of this race, as is Nicolas Morales. That's at the end of lap 11 with 19 laps still to go in this Singapore race. Nicholas Coleman will now take the lead. We've seen him go long on some stints in the past. Daniel Thomas now moves up into 3rd position, but crucially, Peter Mann exits the pits ahead of Daniel Thomas, so he won't have that traffic to contend with. He is going to pick up the DRS on Peter Mann. Is it going to be enough to see him pass the red car? No, not quite enough to get him alongside, as Nicolas Morales now making a move on Felix Cabanes. That is a good move for position. Up into 6th place for Nicolas Morales, one of the 3 championship contenders at this stage of the season. Our 3 contenders are Peter Mann, who's currently running in 2nd position after his stop. Cesar Navarro now into 4th position, what is a net 2nd, though, once Coleman and Thomas come into the pits. And Morales into 6th position, but that is a net 3rd once Coleman, Thomas, and Jose Navarro come into the pits. Speaking of which, will we see any of those guys coming into the pits this lap? Let's go on board with our current race leader, Nicholas Coleman. Is he going to come in at the end of lap 12? He is indeed. The purple French car into the pits. And that is a very long stint. Again, 12 laps on that set of softs. Are we going to see him go on to another set of softs? Yes, we do. That's another set of softs for the French manager, Nicholas Coleman. And where is he going to come out? It looks like it's going to be right alongside the likes of Jake Thompson. He just about squeezes ahead of the British manager, and he will come out in 13th position. He's going to deploy a bit of boost as well, too. That's going to give him the DRS off the back of Chandler Saita, who doesn't quite pick up the DRS off of Richard Joffre, about half a second away from the DRS zone. Joffre running very close to Cordier once again. These 2 managers just cannot be separated. Ever since the start of the race, they gained loads of positions on the opening laps, and that trend has continued. And looking good at this point for the 2 French managers. They're in the lower points paying positions, but very, very close to the back of Autosport. Nicolas Presi just up the road from Autosport as well. And we are still seeing a very close battle between Cesar Navarro and Daniel Thomas. They are within DRS range. Are we going to see either of them come into the pits? Cesar Navarro's already been in once. Daniel Thomas on those medium tires, looking like he might be going for a one-stop strategy. Could be trying to extend all the way to lap 15. We do have, Jose Luis Navarro is into the pits. He's going to get rid of those softs at the end of lap 13. He's opting for a set of mediums. That's an interesting choice. He could be on for a one-stop strategy. If he can stretch those mediums for 17 laps potentially, then he could be on for a one-stop strategy. Could Jose Luis Navarro, so we'll be keeping our eye on that one. Daniel Thomas was not able to make the move on Cesar Navarro. And again, I'm going to go ahead and hypothesize. I think he might be coming in next lap for a one-stop, 15 laps per set of medium tires. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Bit of a gap now between Morales and Thomas, and also between Morales and Cabanes, about 2 seconds in either direction for Nicholas Morales. He's got a car 2 seconds up the road and 2 seconds behind him as well. So that's how things are looking just in the top 5. Franco Insaurralde running pretty close as well, too. He's about a second and a half adrift of the Spanish manager Felix Cabanes. And Autosport doing well, holding on to a points-paying position at the moment with a good amount of boost still remaining. Of course, lots of people still really, really hoping for a solid points finish for Autosport. Even a 10th place finish would be fantastic. We saw Jake Thompson picking up a single championship point not that long ago. And unfortunately, Autosport has not been able to do that just yet. Again, this is round 14 out of 17, so they are really running out of opportunities. The improvements we've seen from Autosport over the course of this season have been absolutely incredible. In the early stages of this season, Autosport would have been lapped already at this point of the race. So the improvement that we're seeing from the Autosport team has truly been incredible, really inspiring stuff to see from them. And as we've been highlighting all throughout the season, this is a very difficult grid to be successful on. These are hugely talented managers. These are guys that have been playing IGP Manager for years and years and years. One of the oldest management games out there for mobile and for desktop. So some of these guys have been around since the very earliest days of IGP Manager, and for Autosport to come in and actually be in the top half of the field at this stage of the race, after passing the halfway point, which we actually just did, really impressive stuff. Meanwhile, Daniel Thomas actually did not come in at the end of that lap, so I'm not sure. He's definitely still on for a one-stop strategy, but clearly not 15 laps per stint. He might be trying to extend. We saw Jose Luis Navarro, for example, come in at the end of lap 13 and fit a set of mediums, which we think he might be taking to the end of this race. So that would be a 17-lap stint, and that could be what we're seeing here from Daniel Thomas. We could see him go until the end of this lap and try to fit a set of softs for 14 laps at the end of the race, or we could see him come in at the end of lap 17 and go for a set of softs there. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. He's currently running in a podium position, and we think he has the same number of stops to make as the cars around him. So this could be a podium position potentially for Daniel Thomas, as he does indeed come into the pits at the end of lap 16. The big question is going to be whether or not it's going to be a set of soft compound tires for Daniel Thomas. It is not. It's going to be another set of mediums, so a 14-lap stint on the mediums to take Daniel Thomas to the end of this race here in Singapore. The temperature is maintaining where it was at. Oh, I saw a bit of boost usage there for Nicholas Coleman. It looks like he's trying to close up to the back of Chandler Saita. Saita with lots of boost still remaining, but Coleman does pick up the DRS, which is going to be invaluable in his quest to try and keep Jake Thompson behind. So really just using the last of his boost there, I think, in order to pick up the DRS, extend that gap between himself and Jake Thompson, and ensure that he is on for a points finish. So Autosport moving up into 7th position. He's got Valentin Cordier for company, actually, lapping about a quarter of a second quicker on that previous lap compared to Autosport. So Valentin Cordier going very well, still with lots and lots of boost to go. Richard Joffret also with about 3/4 of his boost remaining and still running around in a points-paying position. We are expecting the two-stoppers to start making their way into the pits very shortly. The pit window is definitely open at this stage. It doesn't look like any of the top guys came into the pits. Nope, the top 5 are all continuing on at the end of lap 17 to start lap number 18. So that's how things are looking in the top 5. Autosport just about keeping up with Pressy. Are they going to come under attack from Valentin Cordier here, though? Through the right-hander they go. It doesn't look like no DRS, actually, for Valentin Cordier. It wasn't quite close enough, and indeed actually losing a bit of time in Sector 1 compared to Autosport. So Autosport going very, very well here. I have to say, I'm very impressed with their race so far. And I think they would only lose 1 or 2 positions in the pit stop phase to Thomas and Navarro. Yeah, they're definitely not going to lose any positions to Fazzolari and Carrasco, who, again, we believe are not present for today's race. So Autosport here, I think, are essentially in a net 9th position. And they're maintaining that gap down to Valentin Cordier, who is a podium finisher, by the way. Valentin Cordier, a podium finisher. Cesar Navarro, though, into the pits. This is the big news of the moment. And it looks like he's going to be followed in by Nicholas Pressy. Yes, so the American and the Argentinian into the pits at the end of lap 18. It's going to be another set of soft compound tires for Cesar Navarro, so it looks like he's going to be going to the end on this set. That's going to be a 12-lap stint. Unfortunately for him, he's come out just behind Nicholas Coleman. He's in 10th position. Coleman now up into 9th. He does have a little bit of boost still to play with. Coleman does not. He's going to pick up the DRS off of the French purple car here. It's not quite going to be enough to pull him alongside at the end of the DRS zone, but it's very, very close between Cesar Navarro and Nicholas Coleman. Are we going to see him deploy some boosts coming out of this left-hander on the medium length run down into the chicane? It doesn't look like it. He's going to hold station for the meantime. I'm not sure if I agree with that one. I would have expected that he wants to try and get past Coleman as quickly as he can. Coleman is, of course, going to be very light on fuel at this stage of the race, but is going to have rather worn soft compound tires. So, yeesh, I'm not so sure about that one. Meanwhile, Valentin Cordier has had a much better second sector to this lap. He's actually closed up to Autosport. He's within DRS range. Are either of these guys going to be on for a pit stop? Actually, yes, Autosport into the pits at the end of lap 19 is going to deny Valentin Cordier the DRS that he probably would have really wanted there. So let's go down to Autosport. This is an early pit stop for them. The only other car to be into the pits for the two stops so far are Nicholas Pressey and Cesar Navarro. Autosport's going to come out not that far behind Nicholas Pressey and with a similar amount of boost remaining as well, and with fresher tires. So Autosport really could be a threat to Nicholas Pressey here potentially, so we're going to keep an eye on that battle, but we're also going to try and keep an eye on everything else that's going on. Coleman now really sticking to the back of Chandler Saita. Cesar Navarro actually dropping out of DRS range on Nicholas Coleman. Unfortunately, we were focused on the battle between Autosport and the cars around them, so we missed out to see if there was any sort of boost usage or anything like that. But Cesar Navarro on that heavy fuel after coming into the pits. Again, iGP Manager, for those that might not be familiar, if you're new to the game and haven't tried it out yet, it is free to play. Feel free to try it out, but there is refueling in iGP Manager, so if you can stay out that little bit longer, you can actually make an overtake. As now we've got some front runners into the pits at the end of lap 20. Again, these are the guys that are going the 10-10-10 soft strategy, which Alex Gillen would be a big fan of that strategy if he's watching or catches the broadcast later on. But it is Cabanes and Incerralde that are coming out of the pits. Cabanes actually coming out behind Jake Thompson. Jake Thompson deploying a bit of boost, wants to catch up to the back of Cesar Navarro and also try to pull away from Felix Cabanes. Incerralde coming out just behind Daniel Thomas, but unfortunately for him, not within DRS range. He is just outside of that DRS range on Daniel Thomas, who again is on that one-stop strategy. He's into 8th now. However, there are some more cars still yet to pit. The likes of Jake Thompson, I believe, are going to be coming into the pits. Yeah, Thompson should be due into the pits at the end of this lap, so that is going to promote Daniel Thomas up into 7th position. Nicholas Coleman, I believe, is going to be coming into the pits. Unless he's running an 18-lap stint on a set of soft tires, which is certainly not advisable, as Saita has made the move on Joffre, actually, moving himself up into 12th position. His next target is going to be Autosport, actually. He's got quite a bit more boost remaining. Autosport has closed down the gap between themselves and Nicholas Pressey. I hope they're not burning up their tires. That's my main concern. I hope they're not burning up their tires in the quest to try and catch up to Nicholas Pressey, as Coleman is into the pits for the second and final time at the end of lap 21, and it is going to be another set of soft compound tires for the Purple French manager. Oh, it's going to be very close. Very, very close between himself and Joffre. He's got no boost to defend with, unfortunately, though, and Joffre is going to move past. DRS for both of them, and that's actually going to be a double overtake for Joffre. Richard Joffre, our newest manager, moving himself up into 11th position. Meanwhile, Autosport did pick up the DRS, I believe, off the back of Nicholas Pressey. It wasn't enough to actually move them up ahead of Nicholas Pressey, but it does seem very, very close. Autosport is seeming very strong here today. I have to say, this is the best they've looked at any stage. Excuse me just a moment. Thank you very much. Sorry, I've been talking for about half an hour straight with very little breaks, and I just had to cough and clear my throat for just a minute there. But we do have the likes of Nicholas Morales now into the pits. Peter Mann has been into the pits for a second time as well, and it's going to be a pretty sizable gap between the two of them. Cesar Navarro holding station, moves himself up into 3rd position after Valentin Cordier was into the pits. So let's see what that has done. Autosport is now up into 9th position. Nicholas Pressey deploying a bit of boost, trying to defend from Autosport here. Is it going to be enough to break the DRS? No. Autosport picks up the DRS, deploys a bit of boost, closes that gap back up to the American manager. This is an absolutely incredible race. Some DRS for Jake Thompson is going to see him move ahead of Jose Luis Navarro for 13th position. Unfortunately for Jose Navarro, these mediums just really did not seem to work out for him. That one-stop strategy just not working for Jose Luis Navarro, but I applaud him for trying something different. Really quality stuff from Jose, and unfortunately it just has not worked out for him. But let's continue looking. Felix Cabanes actually within half a second of Cesar Navarro. That is for the final podium position. And just a reminder, the 3 championship contenders are Peter Mann, who currently leads the championship, Cesar Navarro, who's in 3rd, he's 2nd in the championship, and Nicolas Morales is 3rd in the championship, but 2nd in this race. So if Cabanes can manage to overhaul Navarro here, and it really looks like he's on for it, yeah, no boost needed for Felix Cabanes up into 3rd position. A nice, easy DRS overtake on Cesar Navarro. It looks like Cabanes is going to be on for a podium here. He moves ahead of the Argentinian. The Spaniard's up into 3rd, and with a little bit more boost remaining compared to Cesar Navarro as well. Daniel Thomas on the slowest compound out of everybody in the points. Oh, Chandler Saita now making the move on Richard Joffre. He moves himself up into 10th position. He's now into the points. Autosport still hanging on to 9th position. They now have less boost remaining than Nicholas Pressey, though, so I have to say it's looking more and more dangerous here for Autosport as these laps tick down. We're coming to the end of lap 24. Here's Peter Mann completing lap 24, starting lap 25. 5.8 seconds down to Nicolas Morales, another 7.6 seconds down to Felix Cabanes, who has already broken the DRS on Cesar Navarro. Daniel Thomas actually getting within DRS range of Cesar Navarro for 4th position, that is. And it looks like the medium runner could be a real threat here to Cesar Navarro. This is so unfortunate to see for the championship, one-time championship leader, current championship contender, and with the DRS, with the boost, Daniel Thomas on those medium tires does move up into 4th position, relegating Cesar Navarro yet another position down into 5th. And with Franco Incerralde not that far behind either, and with more boost remaining, Valentin Cordier as well, a real dark horse here, possibly for the top 5. He's got tons and tons of boost remaining, does Valentin Cordier. And he seems to be keeping up with Franco Incerralde. So he might be deploying a bit of that boost to try and close down that gap, make sure he picks up the DRS on lap 26, which is going to be coming up very shortly here. Autosport, again, just about keeping touch with Nicholas Pressey. I have to say it's looking less and less likely that they're actually going to be able to make the overtake on the American outfit ahead of them for 8th position. And they're going to have to be worried more and more about Chandler Saita behind. So Autosport in an American sandwich at the moment. So they are the hot dog in the bun at the moment. Nicholas Pressey leading this trio. Autosport just behind. Oh, and actually just losing touch of DRS range as well. And there we see some boost usage from Valentin Cordier and Franco Incerralde as well, pressuring Cesar Navarro. Cesar Navarro's already lost 1 position. There goes another position from 3rd down to 7th in just a few laps for Cesar Navarro. That's a back marker. That's Simone Fazzolari ahead of them. So some more boost usage for Franco Incerralde. He's trying desperately to keep ahead of Valentin Cordier for what is now 5th position in this race. That is a double-digit points finish just ahead of Valentin Cordier. And I have to say, he's looking very strong. Still has 4 laps remaining after this lap is completed, and still over 50% of his boost bar still remaining. It doesn't look like Incerralde is going to be anywhere close enough to try and pick up the DRS off of Daniel Thomas, so he's only going to have whatever boost he has remaining. That's all he has in order to defend from Valentin Cordier, who again has lots and lots of boost. There we see some boost usage now from Nicholas Pressey. I think he smells blood in the water. He's seen all of these cars overtaking Cesar Navarro, and I think he might be keen on making an overtake on the championship contender as well, as he deploys that boost, pulls the gap down to Autosport, and closes that little bit up to the back of Cesar Navarro. I don't think he's going to be close enough for DRS on Navarro. However, Nicholas Pressey here is going to pick up the DRS off of the back marker of Simone Fazzolari. Very well timed by Nicholas Pressey to pick up the DRS off the back marker. It's going to move him within DRS range of Cesar Navarro. He could be on for an overtake next lap. Meanwhile, while that was going on, Valentin Cordier, with the assistance of some boost, yeah, he's used lots of boost as we can see, and some DRS, I would assume, he's managed to overhaul Franco Incerralde. He moves himself himself up into the top 5, a 139.88 last lap. That's a pretty good lap time, but it's actually not quite as quick as what we've seen from Daniel Thomas. Daniel Thomas last lap, a 39.77. That is a very solid lap time for the medium runner. So Daniel Thomas looking like he's really on for a top 5 finish here. Even if Cordier overhauls him, I just don't think that Inceralde is going to have the tires or boost left. So it's looking like a top 5 finish for Daniel Thomas. I don't think he's going to be threatening the podium position of Felix Cabanes. Just looking at the sector times and the lap times, he was quicker. I think that was with DRS in Sector 1 on the previous lap. But Valentin Cordier, no surprise, going purple that last lap with a 38.9. Oh, and there's the overtake from Nicholas Pressey. He's going to make the overtake on Cesar Navarro. Cesar Navarro could be under pressure here from Autosport, actually. Does Autosport have any boost remaining? Ooh, I don't think so. No, if they do, it's a tiny, tiny sliver. But I think something is wrong with Cesar Navarro's car. He is just really dropping back. You can see Autosport pressuring through the corners, through the hairpin. But again, unfortunately for them, I don't think they have any boost to make this overtake on Cesar Navarro. And that would be for 8th position, and that would help keep them safe and keep them in the points, which is exactly what Autosport has been looking for. If they were to finish here, they would move ahead of Jake Thompson. Jake Thompson currently sitting on 1 championship point, and of course you get 2 for 9th position. So Autosport would really like to keep this position and actually move ahead of Jake Thompson in the standings. What a story that would be. Here we go with Autosport down the start-finish straight, getting very, very close to the back of Cesar Navarro. Oh, and Seitz has done it! Seitz has done it! He's made the overtake on Autosport, moves himself up into 9th position. He'll pick up the DRS here as well on Cesar Navarro, who I assume is going to be a sitting duck for both of these cars. And indeed, Seitz has done it, made 2 overtakes in Sector 1 of this 29th lap. I can't believe it's actually going to be white flag this time by. It's been an unbelievable race. I'm so sad that Chris Buxton and Alex Gillen couldn't be there to share this with me, because this is really entertaining stuff. Really enjoying this one. Meanwhile, up at the front, a little bit less entertaining, if we're totally honest. I'm seeing some parallels with the French Grand Prix. Lots of really, really close battles for 7th position, 8th position, that sort of stuff. But Peter Mann starts the final lap of the race. Nicholas Morales about 8 seconds behind. Felix Cabanes another 8.9 seconds down the road. And Morales with no boost. Peter Mann is going to be using what's left of his boost to set the fastest lap of the race. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! And Autosport is into the pits on the final lap. They've gotten something wrong. They've messed up their calculations one way or another. And that is going to drop Autosport out of the points. It was looking like a 9th place finish. It was looking like 2 championship points for Autosport, but they've just unfortunately miscalculated, and they've had to come into the pits in order to avoid running out of fuel, and that is going to be Autosport out of the points. That is going to be so frustrating for them. Meanwhile, Nicholas Coleman becomes the next car to overtake the clearly struggling Cesar Navarro, who has now dropped down into 11th position, out of the points. Nicholas Coleman up into 10th is going to follow his compatriot. Meanwhile, Peter Mann has picked up the win. Peter Mann wins in Singapore. He's going to extend his championship lead, and in fact, he might have won the championship potentially there. Nicholas Morales in second. Felix Cabanes is going to pick up the final podium position, with Daniel Thomas clinging on to that 4th on that alternate one-stop strategy. I have to applaud Daniel Thomas on that alternate strategy, picking up a double-digits points finish. It's going to be 12 championship points for Daniel Thomas, 10 points for Valentin Cordier. It was just 1.3 seconds between the two of them at the end. And Nicholas Pressey, Chandler Seitz finishing back-to-back, the 2 Americans finishing in 7th and 8th. So we've actually got the 2 Americans in 7th, 8th. We've got 2 Frenchmen in 9th and 10th. And wow, I am absolutely breathless after that race. And as you can imagine, it is very much partially because I'm alone here today, so I had to do all of that commentary myself, but also because that was just an incredible race. I really, really enjoyed that one. Oh, man, absolutely incredible stuff. Peter Mann may have won the championship. We are going to have to take a look at that. I am waiting but Autosport, that is the big talking point of the day. It looked like they were on for a 9th place finish. Let's focus on the positives. I don't know if Autosport are watching this broadcast or not, but regardless, let's focus on the positives. Autosport were in 8th position. Or 9th position. I mean, what would have been 8th position if Saita hadn't overtaken them right at the end there. So, oh my gosh, you have to feel for Autosport. That was their best opportunity for points so far this season. They were there. They had the pace, and that's the thing. The strategy was good. The pace was good. They just one little calculation was off. Whatever it was with the fuel, who knows? But oh my gosh, that has got to be so difficult. I really feel for the Autosport team there. But again, there are positives to take away from that race, no doubt about it. Let's see if we can find out what's going on in the championship standings. Yep. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the one I want to be on. I apologize. Okay. This is how the championship is now looking. Peter Mann winning by, that is 84 points. And that's with 3 races remaining. So Peter Mann is the champion, as far as unless my maths are incredibly wrong. But that was round 14 out of 17. 3 races remaining, 25 points per race. That's 75 points. I do believe that Peter Mann is the champion. The champion. Peter Mann is the champion of Apex Online Racing's IGP Manager League Season 1. Huge congratulations to Peter Mann. It's been an up and down season, but towards the end, it's been mostly up. Let's be honest, for Peter Mann, he's just been absolutely incredible in the closing stages of this season. Nicholas Morales does move ahead of Cesar Navarro for 2nd position in this championship. He now sits on 178 points after today's race, just 2 points ahead of Cesar Navarro, though, so it is still very close between the two of them. Nicholas Carrasco, again, was not present for today's race. We don't think either that or he really made a mess of the strategy, and as a result, didn't score any points. That's going to put Felix Cabanes just 1 point behind him for 4th position in the championship. And again, that's between the two Spanish managers. A solid result today for Daniel Thomas, finishing in the top 5, is going to see him get within 4 points of the race winner, Chandler Saita, for 6th position. So it is really tightened up here. So while the championship is over, as far as the winner is concerned, Peter Mann has gone and won it. However, it is as close as it's ever been for 2nd position. I think closer than it's ever been for 4th position. Very, very tight for 6th position as well, too. Just 4 points in that one. Valentin Cordier with another solid result today now moves up into, or he's still in 8th position, but he moves up to 75 points. So 19 points behind Daniel Thomas. That's a bit of a tall order. He's going to have to average 7 points per race more than Daniel Thomas in order to overhaul him for 7th position in the championship. So that's a difficult ask, I think, for Valentin Cordier, but not out of the realm of possibility. I definitely think that he could be on for a good result, that he could be on for moving up even further in the championship potentially. Nicholas Paresi in 9th position with 59 points, 9 points ahead of Jose Luis Navarro. Simone Fazzolari, unfortunately, not here today. Nicholas Coleman picking up some more points, though, moves him up to 34 points, still in 12th position ahead of Franco Incerralde. Richard Joffret now on 8 championship points, so he's 2 for 2 is Richard Joffret as far as scoring in the races that he's taken part in. So congratulations to him. Jake Thompson just on 1 point still. And Autosport, again, oh, God, you have to feel for Autosport. That's, oh, God, oh, man. I'm looking forward to making the highlights for this week's race. I'm going to be honest about that one. But that is going to do it for this week's broadcast. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. It was an absolute blast. I'll be back next week with Alex Gillen at the normal time, 7:55 BST, 6:55 p.m. GMT, and that is going to be for the Japanese round of the season. Thanks again for watching. You guys are the best. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.